What's going on, Bulls Nation? What a win! Oh my god, what a win! Oh, sorry, let me turn on this. Turn on my cancel noise. What a win, guys! Oh my god. If you're in the chat right now, give me a thumbs up. If you can hear me, all right. I just want to make sure the stream's doing good. Yo, what's up, Patrick? Hey, Justin. Hey, Calvin. All right, Calvin, appreciate ya. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Oh my goodness, what a win, guys. This is huge. I am actually shocked at how incredible the Bulls played today. No Zach LaVine, obviously DeMar DeRozan came in huge, but I think the main thing for me, as I'm gonna be doing all season, is that Ayo Dosunmu is a great player, man. I said that Ayo Dosunmu is gonna be taking elite this year, and my goodness, did he look like he's able to do that? I am so happy, man. I'm just shocked. I'm honestly just shocked, and I'm very, very, very happy about it. So I want to basically kind of let's do like a little recap of this game. I want to see some reactions from chat as well. I'm seeing a lot of gold bulls, and yeah, amazing dub. It was an amazing dub. And I want to get into some of this gameplay here. I want to basically do what I do in videos. Of doing like the analysis part, and I want to show you a couple of things. I don't have it all pulled up just yet, so there might be like a little pause at some point in the stream where I'm trying to pull up all the clips, but I have some of the clips already ready to go. But I first just want to talk about just a few things that I was seeing initially. First quarter was rough for the Bulls, and I talked to my defensive video. If you guys watched it, like it is so crucial for this Bulls team to make sure that they protect the paint. It's so important for them to protect the paint. And the biggest thing I was seeing in the first quarter was how Miami was just driving right into the lane, and it wasn't necessarily like they were shooting layups, but their dribble penetration was allowing 3-point shooters get wide open, and everyone was starting to say like, "Oh, we got to find the shooters, we got to stay connected." And I'm like, I actually think really the issue was the point of attack defense from the start of the pick and roll was just awful. That allowed Miami to start getting into the lane, and then they started passing it back out to Tyler Hero, to Max Strus, to Duncan Robinson, etc. And that was the issue to start. Like that was the worst thing about it at the very beginning, and the Bulls did a really good job of fixing that as the game went on. So good job by Billy Donovan and the rest of the team to make sure that did not happen anymore. And I just want to show you like a couple of things here. Like just look at the shot chart. This is quarter one for the Miami Heat, right? As you can see here, there's actually a good amount of shots in the paint, but you're seeing they're making the threes, right? And then you move to quarter three when the defense really picked up, and you saw that the Bulls started taking the lead. Like, yeah, they're a team no matter what is gonna make paint shots. But if you can force as many perimeter shots as possible, this is the result, right? Miami Heat started 7 for 10 from 3-point range to start the game, and they're a phenomenal 3-point shooting team. But the part that needs to be like stuck in our heads is we have to continue to force them to shoot the perimeter shots, but contested. Like there were a few Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero wide open 3-point shots that are inexcusable. But if we can make sure that the Miami Heat or any team shoots more and more perimeter shots, this Bulls team is going to be just fine, because you saw eventually the 3-point shooting started to even out, right? Because again, quarter number one, look how many threes went down for the Miami Heat. But then quarter number three, it completely changed, right? And the Bulls did a much better job from quarters 2 and on to make sure that the threes were more contested. And we're doing a phenomenal job of making sure that the ball's being passed out. Because again, no matter what happens, even if we play good defense, a team, no matter what, is going to make shots in the paint. It's just plain and simple. And that's where it needs to get. That's where this defense needs to change. And this is like the issue last year was they're giving up too many inside looks. And a team, no matter what, is going to make inside looks. Force them to shoot perimeter shots. You do that, you did your job. So really good job by the Chicago Bulls today to adjust to Miami Heat and force more perimeter shots, even if they're great 3-point shooters. So that's just like my usual idea in my head about the defense. But um, one thing I also want to mention was in the second half, I think the Bulls did a phenomenal job of making sure DeMar DeRozan was being thrust into the middle of the floor. So you saw a lot in the first half when DeRozan only had 9 points, that he was kind of posting up on the wing a lot and he was getting a lot of double teams coming at him. That changed, right? You saw that in the especially in the third quarter, that the Bulls started putting DeRozan in the middle of the floor. And I'm actually going to pull up a tweet here if I can, that shows a great example of this. This is a prime example of how this Bulls team can still have good offense, but give DeRozan the shot, right? You still want to see these guys moving, but it ends up in a DeRozan 2-point shot, right? So this is by MK Hoops. He works with CHGO, a well-known Bulls content creator. So in this play here, you see that the Bulls are basically just doing a dribble weave handoff, but everyone's moving in this play, right? And you see here, DeRozan's going to just get the ball off a handoff by Dragic, but as this play's developing, I mean, Dragic is moving to the corner. You got Javonte Green moving, right? And Kobe's standing over here. But all that movement makes sure that DeRozan can come off the screen wide open, right? And no one's going to be in position to come over and help. And this just is way too much space for a mid-range master. And there you go. That's how he just makes those shots all day long. So, and this actually, I apologize, the audio was on. This actually reminds me of like a similar to like a Phoenix Suns type offense with Devin Booker. You see that very same play or something similar to that play that the Suns always run for Devin Booker, and it gets him an open shot. And the reason why it gets him an open shot is because the other guys are moving, right? Dragic gives the ball to DeRozan, but he goes right to the corner to take his man with him. And this is just a prime example of good offense that still results in DeRozan getting to his spot and taking a mid-range shot. So, awesome stuff by the Bulls to make that adjustment in the second half to make sure that DeRozan gets more in the center of the offense than staying out on the wings or in the post. So we didn't want DeRozan get into the post because he saw the Miami Heat were really starting to load up on him, and forcing other people to shoot the 3-point shot. I'm gonna pull up a clip here. I apologize about this, but there's a play I want to show you guys of how much the Miami Heat were just loading up on DeRozan. I apologize for the audio right there. There was at the end of the second quarter here, the Miami Heat decided, hey, we're gonna it was the last possession for the Bulls. They just straight up loaded up on DeRozan, and I'm gonna show you a prime example of it. If I can find it, that's halftime. Let's move back here, and I'm going to use like the telestrator, quote unquote, with this. So yeah, this play right here. This play is just a prime example of the Miami Heat. They're like, okay, we're loading up on DeRozan. So DeRozan here, it's a straight up ISO, right? And here comes Caruso with the screen. They get the switch, but look at what the Miami Heat are doing, right? Look at where Dragic is, and this is his man Kyle Lowry, right? He's just all the way up here, like we're not letting you come over here. This is what the Miami Heat were starting to do with DeRozan. And instead of having DeRozan start all the way out here, you started to see the Bulls get DeRozan like here to start the possession, and that allowed DeRozan just to go to work because he's already in his spot and he's already a threat from there. He's not a threat from 28 feet out. So that was so key to see the Bulls change this instead of just having DeRozan start all the way, at half court, and you see him dribble the ball off his foot there. So that was really important by the Bulls to change that because it was something that I was like, oh man, if the Bulls don't get away from that, then I think we're gonna have some serious issues. I want to transition now over to the defense and talk about a possession where the Bulls actually gave up a 3-point shot, but it was actually a good defensive possession. Like, again, people were constantly saying on Twitter, like, the Bulls got to find the 3-point shooters. And I'm like, I think it starts at the perimeter, man. I think it starts at the top of the key with the point of attack defense, and the pick and roll defense was just so bad that it ended up in a 3-point shot. But I'm going to show you, and I'm going to show you an example of a really good defensive possession, but it ended up in the Miami Heat hitting a three. So I was just like, this is a good defensive possession, but it ended up looking bad on paper. Pessimistic Bulls fans annoy they annoy the crap out of me as well. And I think some people need to understand that this season you can't tank this season, and I'll get to that later in this video. Also coming up in this video is how the Bulls can keep Ayo Dosunmu, because as a lot of Bulls fans found out today that he's gonna have a phenomenal year. But yeah, pessimistic Bulls fans, man, the amount of people I saw upset today after Zach LaVine's news came out, oh man. I mean, I was upset, but I'm like, the season's not over. So that, yeah. Anyway, let's do this play here. I want to really show this play by the Miami Heat that ended up being a good defensive possession. So the person I want you to watch here is Javonte Green. He's gonna be guarding Max Strus. Okay. Max Strus is one of the best shooters for the Miami Heat. Also DePaul alum. So you're gonna see here that Gabe Vincent is going to get a pick and roll with Bam Adebayo. He's going to be able to get into the lane, right? Now, this is the area where the Bulls were struggling initially. Gabe Vincent, in the first quarter, gets a layup out of this, and that's not what we want to see, right? We want to see them we want to see the Miami Heat throw it back out and force a perimeter shot. So the Bulls and Drummond, and specifically Drummond here, he prevents a layup from happening, and he forces Gabe Vincent to throw it back out to Max Strus here. And look at right here. This, to me, this is exactly what you want. Because, as I said earlier, teams that shoot shots in the paint, they're going to make them. But Max Strus is a good three-point shooter, but this is a contested three-point shot. You stopped the layup from happening. You got a contested three-point shot out of it, and it still went in. It's okay, though. You can live with that shot. And, again, these shots were going down early for Miami. But you saw in the third quarter, they were going away. They weren't making those shots anymore. That's what I think is so important about this is you have to stick to your defensive identity and make sure that you don't give up any points in the paint. That is the big priority on that possession. The Bulls did it right. It just ended up going in. Now, I'm going to show you an exact opposite of the play where the Bulls actually played horrible defense and the shot, and Max Strus missed the shot. But, you know, on paper, it looks fine. He missed the shot. But this was horrible defense by specifically Patrick Williams, who had a horrible game, and we'll get to him in a second. So right here, this is just a simple pin down by Bam Adebayo for Max Strus to come on up here. And I don't know what Patrick Williams is thinking. Like, the entire Bulls identity is you got to fight through this screen. So he's got to follow Max Strus, fight through this screen, and make sure he meets him at the top here. And you see here that Patrick Williams just gets stuck. I don't know why. Like, you gotta get through this screen if you're Patrick Williams. And it ends up actually being a wide open 3-point shot for Max Strus, and it was a miss. See, like, that's horrible defense, but he missed the shot. So my point is that, you know, we have to make sure when we're looking at everything, like, if a team's getting a 3-point shot, sometimes it's not like the person guarding them, right? It's sometimes that it actually started at the top. The key was so bad, and then, you know, the team got the 3-point shot, or the perimeter defense, the point of attack defense was so horrible. Then they get the 3-point shot because of it. This right here was just straight up awful defense, and somehow Max Strus missed the shot. So in my opinion, you know, it's just weird. So I just hope that Bulls fans start to recognize that for moving forward here. I don't actually remember what this was exactly. I had it written down in my notes here, but let me move forward. Let's see here. I believe so. This was Jimmy Butler getting to the free throw line. I just want to watch this play over again, and let's see. Yes, this. Okay, so this is interesting. This is on Ayo Dosunmu actually. And I'm gonna show you. So Bam Adebayo had a horrible game, right? If you remember this. This was an awful game for Bam Adebayo, especially at the start. It just seemed like he couldn't make any layups. He couldn't dunk the ball. So watch this play right here. And this is actually on Ayo, even though he had a great game. But I'm going to target Ayo right here. Or, I mean, honestly, it could also be on DeMar DeRozan. But I think this is on Ayo Dosunmu. Right here, this is just a pick and roll, right? You're going to have Tyler Hero do the simple pick and roll, right? Now, if you're Ayo Dosunmu, right, because this is the strong side of the ball, you need to come and meet Bam Adebayo right here. You have to. You have to stop the roll. But because he doesn't come all the way down, this was this ends up being actually a wide open lob for Bam Adebayo, and he doesn't end up putting it in, but he passes it back out. Ends up being ends up being free throws for Jimmy Butler. Again, the Miami Heat didn't score on this possession straight up from Bam Adebayo, but that defense needs to be there because, as I said earlier, you take away the paint look first, then you make him force it back out. You got to contest the 3-point shot. That's always the priority when it comes to stuff like this. So I'm gonna skip forward here. I have another clip written down here. Let's see. It's in the third quarter, and this is a Tyler Hero 3-point shot, and I believe it's around here. Oh, DeMar DeRozan, just we could talk about him all day, honestly. Let's see. Was it this? Nope. That's just a Jimmy Butler miss. I apologize. I didn't have enough time before the stream started here to get to this clip and get it set up and ready. But let's see here. There was a play by Tyler Hero. There was a shot for Tyler Hero that was like, oh, he could make that shot. But again, I'm like, this was good defense by the Chicago Bulls. I just want to see this one play out here. And let's see. No. So even though this may not be the possession that I'm looking for, look what the Bulls are doing right here. First off, Caruso's up. Vucevic is up. And look at Ayo Dosunmu. He's already coming over to help. Right? This is exactly what we want to see at the top. Like when I talk about point of attack defense at the top of the key, this is what I'm talking about. All three of these guys right here, they have to make sure to limit the drive and either force the drive one way or prevent the drive completely. And this is a really good job of this right here at the start. I believe Tyler, let's see. Yeah, so this is exactly the type of pass we want to see throw back out. He then throws it back out to Cody Martin here, and they have to basically, that's actually a kick ball anyway. But you see here that the point of attack defense was just so much better at the start, and it was huge. I'm trying to find this play here, and I apologize. There's a play by Jimmy Butler that he kicked back out to Tyler Hero, and I was like, oh my goodness, like this is it right here. This is it. So Butler here, pick and roll side of the key, pick and roll wing side, and you're gonna Butler basically drive baseline here. The person to look at here is Alex Caruso. Make sure that you cut off this point here, but also Vucevic needs to do a better job in general on making sure that Butler can't just get right to the lane. But you see here, right? Jimmy Butler gets in here. This is Jimmy Butler getting into the lane, but we don't want Jimmy to shoot this shot. Not only can he make this shot, obviously, but he's going to go to the free throw line. We don't want Jimmy to get fouled, but you see here, Vucevic does just a good enough job to force Butler to get away from the basket, can't put up the shot, and 7 seconds down the shot clock, you throw it out to Tyler Hero. Can Tyler Hero make this shot? Absolutely. He can 100% make this shot. But this is, again, a contested 3-point look. You force the Miami Heat to throw it back out to the perimeter, and Tyler Hero missed the shot. That's what we're looking for, right? That's exactly what we want from the Chicago Bulls on their defense. We have to make sure the Miami Heat, or whoever we're facing, throws it back out. Because Tyler Hero was making that in the first quarter. But, again, if you stick to your defensive principles, they're going to eventually miss that shot. Unless, unless it's Steph Curry and he's going nuts, right? So, that's basically all the film I had on this game today. Really solid win for the Bulls. And I want to hear your thoughts from chat now. And I want to move on to talking about Ayo Dosunmu and his stuff in his current contract, just to kind of notify all you guys. I made a video on Ayo Dosunmu and his contract situation, by the way, so go check that out if you want a really in-depth analysis on this. Let's see here. What is it? Gilbert Arenas provision. Hoop rumors. Let's see here. He will struggle. Yeah. Patrick, man, I don't know what to say about Patrick at this point. I'm definitely concerned. He started out pretty bad. Like, he basically pulled a Tony Snell to start the game. Didn't score in the first half. Then he got the immediate hook early on, and I don't know if that was rotation or what, but Javonte Green came in and played much better. And And then we saw Patrick in the closing lineup because Javonte Green fouled out, uh, and we saw Patrick give up, or he turned the ball over when Ayo just threw a simple pass to him. So that was really not good at all. I'm very concerned about Patrick Williams right now, especially because, like, you could be like preseason's preseason, but then clearly he didn't show up today. So yeah, I'm very concerned about him at this point. Like, it's crazy to say this, but like, so far, and I know it's just one game, but Goran Dragic looked like a better defender than Patrick Williams tonight, and I hate to say that. Agree or disagree with me on that, but that's how bad it was in my opinion for Patrick Williams and his defense. Uh, I don't know what that was about, but he did not look good tonight. Another person that actually didn't look too good tonight was Alex Caruso, but you live with it because you know he's going to bring it defensively, and he had some huge plays to stop the Miami Heat from going on a fast break. So really good stuff by Alex Cruz on the defensive end, but offensively he's got to do better, especially if he's going to start. Which he's not going to start when Levine comes back, but I do have him closing a lot of games because he is a veteran and we need his defense out there to close games. But let's see here. Yeah, if I'm hoping I'm pronouncing your name right, Lloyd. I hope Patrick does better. I really do. I like that you're uh you're pretty optimistic about him, but right now for this Bulls team, like the clock is ticking on Patrick Williams. And it's getting to that point now where we're like, man, like we don't have time for you to figure this out. And uh, I always make this and I always make this comparison. Patrick Williams right now does not understand how to really move in an offense so that he can make himself available to his teammates very well. I understand that Patrick Williams is young. Now, this is technically his third year, but he's only played in 88 games, now 89 games of regular season ball. Um, and he still hasn't figured it out. I understand he's young. But if Ayo Dosunmu can come in his rookie year and understand how to move in an offense better than Patrick Williams can already, like, that's an issue. And I'm very concerned about it. So that's the part that I'm very concerned about with Patrick Williams. He needs to get that now. Like he just has to get that now. I'm sorry, but he needs to get that part now because that's just asking for him to be just a simple role player. We're not asking him to be a star, right? That's just asking to be a decent role player. And right now, Patrick Williams can't be a decent role player. That's the part that really concerns me. But again, one game. It's one game. I'm just gonna keep telling myself it's one game. We have taken the measure of him and found him wanting. What does that mean? Is it cuz? Is that how you pronounce it? What does that mean specifically? Um. All right. Anyone else in chat want to just kind of throw out some of your thoughts on this game? Would love to hear your thoughts on this because this was, again, great win. I think we could all say that this was a phenomenal win by the Chicago Bulls. Let's see here. If you guys have nothing else to say, then I'm going to move on into talking about Ayo Dosunmu and his contract and hopefully explain what the contract situation is for the Bulls moving forward because it's actually a lot different than what people think. Oh, Shakespeare means yeah, cause I'm gonna agree with you on this one for now. His mentality isn't there, cuz like he just doesn't have the mentality. Like I've talked to people about this. Ayo Dosunmu carries himself in a way of like I'm gonna be the best player I can be no matter what. Dalen Terry, before he got drafted, said in an interview that in 5 years when they do the redraft, they're gonna have Dalen Terry much higher than wherever he went in the draft. Like that's the sort of mentality I wish Patrick Williams just had. Like people, when you ask Zach LaVine how he's doing, and he's always like, "Oh, I feel amazing. I feel great." Like it may sound snarky, but that's the mentality that NBA players just have to have. You have to have that mentality to be great. And right now, Patrick Williams has all the tools, but he doesn't have the mentality to be great. And that's what's scaring me right now. I'm like, Patrick, you have to start thinking, I'm the best player on the floor tonight. It may sound ridiculous, but like if you look at what the media does, the media doesn't do this type of stuff like or doesn't give a negative spotlight to when a player says something about their confidence, like or trying to be confident. Um, so that's the part that it just I don't know what Patrick's up to, and I won't. I'm honestly I honestly think that if Zach Levine wasn't if Zach Levine started tonight, Patrick's on the bench. Like I think the only reason why Patrick started is because Zach's out. Yeah, Calvin, I totally agree with you on that. His mentality needs to change this season, and I thought him. I thought Patrick going to work with DeMar DeRozan in the offseason, I thought that would help him, but it just didn't. Like it seems like it hasn't done anything. If Zach started tonight, we would have lost. I disagree with that, actually. I think if Zach started tonight, I think the Bulls don't look as horrible to start. What's the rush? So the I'm not what I'm saying with Patrick Williams right now. He just needs to be a role player and think to himself that when I am moving off ball, when I am cutting hard, I'm cutting with a purpose, with the idea that I am going to score. Like that's all I'm asking him to do. The what's the like if you like I'm not asking him to be a star right now. I'm just asking him to act confidently in his game. Like Ayo Dosunmu, for example, he's not a star right now, but he's a great role player right now, and he's confident in his game. That's all I'm asking for Patrick Williams. I'm asking him just to be a role player, but he doesn't seem confident in being a role player right now. That's the part that's concerning. I mean, I think we can all agree that Patrick Williams, if he's can't be a role player right now at the top level of like the top competition, like I don't know what this dude's gonna be. We will see next game. The offense will be in quicksand. I don't think Zach's playing in Washington. Because I don't see it happening. Ayo is a top 7 point guard in the East. I wouldn't say that just yet, but I can definitely see him becoming that. In honestly, just a couple seasons. I honestly think Ayo Dosunmu has all star potential. I think a good comparison with him is like a Mike Conley. Um, I think that's a great comparison for him. A guy that plays at his own speed but can do a lot of things, can handle the ball, can play off ball. Like I think that's a great comparison for I would assume it was Mike Conley, and he might even be better than Mike Conley. Honestly, we'll see how it goes. But I think Io and Mike Conley is like a great comparison. And if we have Mike Conley, I mean, I don't think people understand how good Mike Conley was in his prime. Like that's a phenomenal player. Nice comparison. Yeah, I really do think that's like a great comparison. I'm glad you like that too. Looks a lot more confident than Pat, in my opinion. I totally agree. Yeah, I it's interesting. Like the mentality is interesting. And I saw Dave C. Or no, Professor Mikey. You said Kobe over Pat? Question mark. The thing that I love about Kobe, like it it drives me insane the some of the stuff that he does, but he's still confident. Like he right now, right? If you thought like if you didn't know the Bulls at all, like didn't know their team at all starting this season, you looked at Kobe White and Patrick Williams. Kobe played 24 minutes, Patrick played 28. Like who would you consider the role player, like a better role player on the team? It's just how how it is. And Kobe right now is embracing his role of being a scoring guard. And I I was upset with him initially to start the game, but would much rather see him take those 3 point shots that he missed than don't take them at all. Right? I want to see him shoot those shots. And right now, if Patrick Williams got those wide open threes, I don't know if he takes them. Kobe was +5 going to the fourth quarter. Yeah, I think Kobe, like the start was bad, but then once Kobe got into it, like he played great today. I thought he played great. It took a quarter and a half, I'd say, but he played great. Yeah, Kobe's confidence, if nothing else, yeah, it's something that like, cause let me put another like example like this. Like I know people kind of get on the I know people kind of get on like let's say Zach or Demar for taking some weird shots, or like thinking that uh some of these players, like some of these all-stars, they take like the most ridiculous shots ever. Would you rather have a player that has all the talent shoot a bunch of shots and try to rein them back in, or would you rather have the player that has all the talent but doesn't shoot at all and try to force them to become a more aggressive shooter? Like, I would much rather have the player that has all the tools and shoots too much because I know I can rein him back in than try to be that guy that tries to get him to shoot more, right? So that's just the way I look at it with Patrick Williams and some of these other young guys. I'm like, man, like P. Will is really starting to concern me. And let me end the P. Will conversation by saying this: I'm not giving up on him. I'm just saying that I'm really concerned. Yeah. Bulls have early bird rights on Ayo. Does he get 440 from us this offseason? Okay, so yeah, I want to move to the Ayo Dosunmu conversation. Just really quickly, I from Marcus, I really think Patrick Williams has a reason to be timid. He's just not good enough yet. Oh, you think he's not good enough yet? That could be too. That could be also an explanation. Um, I will say one thing about Patrick Williams that kind of does concern me is that he doesn't look that quick. I know he came into the NBA with like an NBA ready body, and I'm almost like he came into this season slimmer. He just still doesn't look very quick when he catches the ball and decides to do something. He looks pretty slow. So that you could be right saying that he's just not good enough yet, and that might be something that yeah, he has bricks for feet. That's a great way to describe it. So it could be that he just needs to develop his body more, and we'll see it then translate. You could be 100% right by this, but yeah, I will say that is something that I've kind of thought of. All right, for Dave C and for also my sake. So I want to talk about this Ayo Dosunmu thing because this is going to be huge. I'm telling you right now. And again, if you have not checked out my video, please check out my Ayo Dosunmu video. I broke that down like more in depth, and I'm gonna break it down on stream for you guys to show you what's gonna happen for Ayo Dosunmu. So, Dave C, you are correct. The Bulls have early bird rights on Ayo Dosunmu. So as you see right here, Ayo Dosunmu is on a minimum contract in year 2, and he's getting paid $1.5 million. Okay, so I love your content. Please try spread it across more media. I appreciate it, Marcus. I really appreciate that. I'm gonna do my best to try to spread it more. A friend told me about one of my videos making it on Reddit, and I was really shocked by it. On the Bulls Reddit. So I really appreciate people spreading it, spreading my stuff. So again, really appreciate it. I already has all-star experience. I think he honestly has like that all-star mentality up there. Oh, you put it there, Marcus? Awesome. I really appreciate it, man. All right. So again, Dave, I apologize about getting off track here. So yeah, early bird rights on Ayo Dosunmu. So if you look at the NBA early bird rights, so early bird rights does a couple of things. When you look at how much they can get, 130% of their previous salary for Ayo Dosunmu. So the raise that a player can get when they're on early bird rights is only 130% of their previous salary. So just simple calculator, right? 1.5 times 1.3, right? It gets you to 1.95. That gets you nowhere for Ayo Dosunmu. He's not accepting this contract, right? So you need to look at this being the other part of early bird rights is if you take the league average salary, you can also offer that to Ayo Dosunmu. So when we look at the NBA league average salary, 8.5 last year. That's the other thing that the Bulls can offer with early bird rights. So basically, the most with early bird rights the Bulls can offer to Ayo Dosunmu is $8.5 million annually. So that's basically it when it comes to early bird rights. Now there's a twist here. That's not the only thing that the Bulls can do to keep Ayo Dosunmu. A lot of people are kind of like screaming like, "Oh, the Bulls don't have full bird rights on him. How do they keep him?" They also don't have salary cap space. And I'm telling you right now, what Ayo Dosunmu did last year, that's worth $15 million annually. Like, if you look at a guy like Tyus Jones, the contract he just got coming off the bench for the Grizzlies, that's basically what Ayo Dosunmu was last year. So already Ayo has outplayed that number. Obviously, he's going to be a restricted free agent, and it would matter if another team could come in and try to give him that amount of money. Um, but I think another team is going to come in and give him a significant raise. Now, here's the part where everyone, I think, doesn't understand this. There is something called the Gilbert Arenas provision. So the Gilbert Arenas provision is specifically for Gilbert Arenas, and it's for a player that has 2 seasons or less in the NBA and they become a restricted free agent. Okay, so in this example with Gilbert Arenas, he became a restricted free agent after 2 seasons, right? He then went and signed an offer sheet with the Golden State, or sorry, with the Washington Wizards, for $8.5 million. The Golden State Warriors did not have the cap room for $8.5 million, and the first year salary of the early bird exception was this much money, which obviously doesn't work, right? So the Warriors were unable to match the offer sheet, and they lost Gilbert Arenas. So, for example, now Ayo Dosunmu goes out in a restricted free agency, and a team offers him $15 million annually, which is very possible, right? The Bulls, with early bird rights, can only offer him $1.9 million and 8.5, and it might be close to the 9 after this season, with early bird rights. So they do not have the money to match that sort of contract. Then, so what's the other part of this is like, okay, what do you do then? So when it comes to second year players in the NBA, if they hit restricted free agency, the most amount of money that they can get is something like this. Okay, it's basically a 10, 10, 30, 30, right? This is the max amount of money. So the max amount of money that Ayo Dosunmu can make next season, because of the Gilbert Arenas provision, this prevents him from getting a huge amount of money. Okay, so the max amount of money that he can get next season is the non-taxpayer mid-level exception. This allows the Chicago Bulls, no matter what sort of contract he gets in the offseason, which from whatever team gives him a deal, it allows him to match that offer. The Bulls have the full non-taxpayer mid-level exception to them, available to them. So no matter what happens, whether Ayo goes out there and gets the biggest offer that he can get, the Bulls are able to match that contract with the non-taxpayer mid-level exception. So no matter what, the Bulls have that resource to keep Ayo Dosunmu on the Chicago Bulls next season, even if they don't have any salary cap space and they only have early bird rights on him. So what we're looking at here is basically a contract similar to this. So the numbers is basically 4 years, $80 million. If Ayo, let's say the Bulls for some reason don't want to keep Ayo, this then becomes 2020. So Ayo would then make $20 million every single season for another team. But for the Chicago Bulls, it would be 10, 10, 30, 30. Now, the part that sounds scary about this is obviously the max raise, right, in years 3 and 4. Years 3 and 4, is Ayo Dosunmu worth $30 million? I don't know, right? And I personally, just because I know the salary cap is going to continuously go up, I would do that sort of deal. If a team decided, hey, I'm going to give Ayo Dosunmu all this money, I would still match it. I personally would. But that's kind of like, the caveat of this whole thing is like, you can match this, but the last 2 years of that deal is going to be scary, right? That's going to be huge in terms of a raise and salary cap space. So I'm seeing some people say, very informative and like they're understanding. Does anyone not understand what I said? Because I know I just kind of, I did not do well with that explanation. I feel like, looks like we're all right. Yeah, I apologize if you did not understand it. Again, if you didn't understand it, go check out my video about Ayo Dosunmu. I posted about 3 months ago. But again, just understand, the Chicago Bulls, they have every ability to re-sign Ayo Dosunmu in the offseason, in next offseason. What I don't want to continue to hear is this sort of stuff where it's like, the Bulls need to give Ayo Dosunmu an extension now. If you do not know, players are only eligible for an extension if they're on a contract 3 years or longer. Ayo Dosunmu was signed to a 2-year deal. So the Bulls cannot give Ayo Dosunmu an extension this season. I know a lot of people think like we can, but we can't. It's not possible. And everyone's like, we gotta lock up Io now. I'm like, we can't. It's literally it's impossible to lock up Ayo Dosunmu right now. So also for Javonte Green, people are saying like, he had a phenomenal preseason. Um, we gotta lock him up right now. And I'm like, he was signed to a 2-year deal. He re-signed for a 2-year minimum contract. We can't lock him up right now, and he's gonna be unrestricted. So we have bird rights on Javonte Green, so we have all the money in the world to keep him, but we can't offer him an extension before he gets unrestricted free agency. So that's the part where it's like I see these news outlets like not trying to call it CHGO too much, but they did a podcast about who could potentially get extensions this season. The only person that can get an extension this season that is going to be a restricted or a free agent in the upcoming offseason is Nikola Vucevic right now. Kobe White's extension deadline has passed. It's gone. The Bulls can't sign Kobe White to extension anymore as that was done on Monday. So the only person that the Bulls can actually give an extension to is Vucevic this season right now. I think a lot of people don't understand that. I don't know why, but it's something that I think needs to also get changed in the CBA and the next CBA collective bargaining agreement. But that's the rules right now. So it's important for Bulls fans to understand this when we're looking at all this, because the amount of times I have seen just some random tweets saying like Ayo Dosunmu needs to be given a 4-year, $50 million contract right now because he's going to get 4 years, $80 million in the offseason from another team. I'm like, well, guess what? We can't give him that money right now. He's going to be restricted free agent no matter what. Don't start saying the Bulls need to give him an extension right now, because guess what? They can't. You have to wait until the offseason to re-sign him. So that's the whole Ayo Dosunmu situation. And just know with the Gilbert Arenas provision, if anything, just know that the Bulls can re-sign Ayo Dosunmu with the Gilbert Arenas provision, and they have every ability to re-sign him. Now, if you're wondering, like, okay, mid-level exception, this is also something that I think is very interesting for some reason. And a lot of people don't really understand the mid-level exception as well. And I don't blame them about that. The mid-level exception is something that is very confusing sometimes. But basically, for a team that is gonna be, not far into the tax apron, you have a mid-level exception for you available. It's called a non-taxpayer mid-level exception. Okay, I want to see if I can. Oh my god, really? Please, I'm trying to find out. There's usually a chart that they pull up here. Look here. Okay, yeah, here we go. This is it. So, this is way later. Never mind. No, this is 2014. It's all right. I'm just gonna. All right, we'll go through Spot Track, I think, on this one. Tax. All right, I'm gonna explain to you why. So a lot of Bulls fans are actually kind of upset that the Bulls didn't go into the tax this season. I'm gonna explain to you why it's important that the Bulls actually didn't go into the tax this season. And the whole reason is because of Ayo Dosunmu. That's literally the whole reason. And I'm gonna have to do basically just like some easy searches here. So in the NBA, we all know that there's a salary cap, right? There's a salary cap, and then there's something called the luxury tax. The salary cap is a soft tax the salary cap is a soft cap, and there are many exceptions to get past the salary cap. The Chicago Bulls, for example, they're way over the salary cap. So just kind of give you an idea here. You see here that the Bulls are basically $29 million over the salary cap. Like it's just a lot of teams they just tend to always go over the salary cap. So the salary cap max this year is $123 million, right? So the Bulls are way over the salary cap, but what they were close to getting was the luxury tax. And this was where things got interesting. So the luxury tax this season, the cap doesn't exist for the Golden State Warriors. It does not. But I don't know if you saw the Golden State Warriors. They might have to pay 200 and something ridiculous dollars in taxes next season. I'm just saying taxes, by the way. They'll have a $483 million payroll next season if they don't do any moves, which is ridiculous, right? All right, so yeah, there's a salary cap in the NBA, and then there's the luxury tax, right? And so every dollar like you're in the luxury tax, you get a fee on top of it, right? So for example, with the Chicago Bulls, they're under the luxury tax. This is called the luxury tax threshold, and the luxury tax threshold is $150 million this season. The Bulls are basically right there, right? They're not in the luxury tax, but they're right there. Now, there's actually something called a luxury tax apron. Okay. This is something that people I feel like don't really understand about when it comes to salary cap stuff. But the uh, the apron is where the hard cap is, in a sense. So the tax apron is $6 million over the tax line. We just talked that the tax line is $150 million. The luxury tax apron is $156 million. Okay, now here's always a question for all the NBA fans: what creates a hard cap? There are three things that create a hard cap. Okay, so I'm at the same place. Wow, that's funny. There are three things that create a hard cap in the NBA. Okay, one, you use more than the taxpayer. You use more than the taxpayer mid-level exception. Two, you do a sign and trade, right? So we have those two, and then number three is you use the biannual exception. So, what are all those things? These are three things that the teams use to get past the salary cap, right? And get and they're able to use it to acquire more players or do more moves. Okay. As you can see last season, for example, the Bulls were actually hard capped, right? They did basically 4 sign-in trades if you count the Larry Markkinen deal, but uh, they did 2 sign-in trades to acquire players. They used a non-taxpayer mid-level exception for Alex Caruso. Okay, both of these things create a hard cap, and the hard cap, whenever the hard cap kicks in, is set at the tax apron. So last year is at $143 million, as we just talked about. Hard cap is $156 million this year. Okay, so here's the thing. Let's say the Chicago Bulls, they went out and tried to go and trade for a guy like Rudy Gobert, right? When you trade for Rudy Gobert, you're taking in a lot of salary. By doing that, the Bulls would have 100% been past this mark. Okay, you're allowed to go past that mark if you, again, don't use the mid-level exception, don't do a sign-in trade, and don't use the biannual exception. The Bulls don't have the biannual exception. If the Chicago Bulls had more than 100 or went past this number right here, they're then considered a tax team for the next season. Okay, and a tax team for the next season is gonna have a different mid-level exception than a non-taxpayer, and the non-taxpayer, as we just talked about, is $10 million, or the basically what Ayo Dosunmu is going to be getting next in the offseason, most likely, right? If the Bulls went into the tax, but and went past this number went past the tax apron, they're considered a taxpayer and would have only this much money with a taxpayer mid-level exception. Therefore, the Gilbert Arenas provision doesn't help the Bulls in trying to re-sign Ayo Dosunmu. That's the part where I think a lot of Bulls fans don't understand is by if you went into the tax, you don't re-sign Ayo Dosunmu next season. There is no way you're re-signing Ayo. And I know it's like, well, you're trading Rudy Gobert for Ayo, right? It not only prevents you from getting Ayo, you have to give up a bunch of assets to get Rudy Gobert. You have to then try to form another team around a team with Rudy Gobert with very limited resources. So this season, I know Bulls fans are like, we need to go into the tax, and like, Jerry Reinsdorf's being cheap. And look, I don't like Jerry Reinsdorf. I am a White Sox fan. I am also a Bulls fan, so of course I'm a fan of the two teams that he owns. But if we went into the tax, it would have screwed us from retaining Ayo. And you can argue that's on the front office for not giving him a 3-year deal to start. But in my opinion, I think Ayo actually wanted the 2-year deal to start because it gives him the opportunity to get more money more quickly. Because if Ayo did a 3-year deal, he was probably getting like a discounted offer from the Chicago Bulls if he did a 3-year deal. But because he only does a 2-year deal, he's forcing restricted free agency early, and he has a chance to get paid some serious money. So I think Ayo's representatives actually wanted him to get the 2-year deal, and that's the reason why he didn't get the 3. So just kind of like breaking it down, like I think it's all right that the Bulls didn't go into the tax this year. Now, if let's say this team does well, and then next season the Bulls aren't in the tax, I'll be upset because this team 100% needs to start making some moves to get better. And if we're somehow like, let's say a top 5 seed this year, or even if we're just making the playoffs this year, like, and we don't go very far, like we have to see some moves to get this team better, and that involves going into the tax. And it's either you do that or you hit the rebuild button again. And I don't want to hit the rebuild button again. I just can't stand the rebuild button. I saw a tweet today after the whole Zach LaVine situation, broke. Someone tweeted that the Bulls should just hit the reset button and trade DeMar DeRozan to the Lakers for 2 first-round picks, and take for Wembanyama. And I'm like, the Chicago Bulls don't own their draft pick. Why would we tank if we don't own the draft pick? It doesn't make any sense. Like, I understand it's top 4 protected, but there is a good chance that you have the worst record in the league and you don't get the first overall pick. Like, that's the part. I'm like, we don't own our draft pick, and if we somehow fall to 5th, we don't keep the draft pick. It makes no sense to me to tank. So I know the season's kind of like yikes because Lonzo's out and LaVine is, we have no idea what that's going to turn into. But there is no reason to tank this year. If this season ends up being a dud and, we need to make some changes, fine. Do it after this season. But we're not doing it this year. There's no reason to tank this year. It just doesn't make any sense. We don't have our draft pick. So, yeah, it's just, Chicago Bulls fans being Chicago Bulls fans. And them being not really, I don't want to say hypocritical, but it's more just like they're not understanding the whole situation. I'm like, let's take a step back and reevaluate before we start saying, let's hit the rebuild button again. Because that just wouldn't make any sense. So, thoughts, guys, on that, basically everything I just went over. Tax, middle exception, tanking. Again, I'm not a tank. I don't want to tank. I think it's a horrible idea, in my opinion. I think tanking is a stupid idea. GG Bulls fans, yep. It was a good game, man. Really good game for Bulls fans. I thought Uncle Jerry's being cheap again. Yeah. I mean, I don't blame you. I think it. I think with Jerry Reinsdorf, it's going to be interesting to see what he does. I wouldn't be shocked if he goes the cheap route again next season. But this year just didn't make any sense. Like, other thing, like, besides the whole Ayo stuff, when it comes to the taxes, like, just think about it this way. We don't know Lonzo Ball is going to ever play this season. And you're telling me that this team should go into the tax when one of the best players on the team is not going to play this year, like, or isn't guaranteed to play this year. Like, why would a team do that? Like, that's like saying to the Golden State Warriors, hey, Klay Thompson or Draymond Green is not playing this year, and we don't have all the supporting cast around us, but we need to go make a big move right now just because we're a big market. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. And maybe I shouldn't use the Warriors because the Warriors are just going to be dominant for the rest of eternity. But, like, it's basically asking a team that doesn't have a key player to go into the tax. Like, if you're going to go into the tax, you want to have everyone there. Like, everyone has to be healthy. And this season, not everyone's healthy. Like Lonzo again isn't going to be healthy. And honestly, I've been telling Bulls fans like if this isn't me being pessimistic. This is just me. I think this is the right mentality for Bulls players is that Lonzo Ball's out for the year. Like you can't be thinking that Lonzo Ball's going to come and save us. Like he is out for the year in our heads. We have to game plan that way. We have to act that way. If he comes back, it's like we made a trade at the trade deadline. But then even if he does come back, we don't know if he's going to be healthy, right? So it's something that I think we as Bulls fans have to just keep in our head. Like Lonzo's not coming back this year, and that's the reason why I'm putting all my stock in Ayo Dosunmu because I think he's the point guard of the future for this team. And he, I'm also gonna pull up another stat here for you guys. Like, I think what people don't understand, with Ayo, like Ayo Dosunmu is so good defensively, and I feel like people just don't get it. This was a stat by Basketball Index. It kind of is analytics, but basically they said like here's the top 5 players last season that were point of attack defenders, and faced the best matchups and also did the best job at their matchups. And we have 3 Bulls on this tweet. One of them's Ayo Dosunmu. Lonzo's here, right? Lonzo Ball, like he is a phenomenal defender. And I think Lonzo Ball overall is a better defender than Ayo Dosunmu because Lonzo's off-ball defense is better. But when it comes to on-ball defense, I think Ayo is basically on par with Lonzo Ball. That's just my opinion. Agree or disagree with me on that? I just think that Ayo is just that good. So, you know, take this with whatever you want. Like, take it with a grain of salt, or, you know, I just, what I don't want to hear is, oh, well, Ayo does some good things like finish in the paint better than Lonzo, but he's not as good defensively. I'm like, oh boy, if you're saying that, then I think you have some issues. Like Ayo Dosunmu is a phenomenal defender, especially on the perimeter. So that's just me being me. All right. Last thoughts here before I'm going to wrap this up soon. I just want to thank all you viewers again. You guys have been amazing. This is my second ever live stream, and I think it's going all right. So, planning on doing this a lot more. I think this is I find this really fun, and I hope to keep accumulating viewers, try to create a community here. So, I'm really happy about that. Are you from Chicago? I live in Illinois. I'll just say that. Yeah. I've basically been in Illinois my entire life. I was not born in Illinois, but I've been basically in Illinois my entire life. All right, so I'm gonna just kind of look ahead here for a second for this Bulls team. Um, thank you, Dave. By the way, um, I said that this Bulls team was. If you did not watch my prediction video, I said a couple of things, but I said for this Bulls team that I believe that they're going to get 47 to 49 wins this year, and I think it's really interesting to hear like everyone's perspective. Like for example, Jason Goff for NBC Sports Chicago, who does the pregame and postgame, he's like, I think 42 to 43, and we'll produce like maybe 43 to 45, which is interesting for me to hear that. If we look at the NBA standings last year, the Eastern Conference was already like really stacked, right? You have 3 teams with 51, right? The Miami Heat won the conference with 53 wins. I mean, just look at the West. I mean, 53 wins gets you the 4 seed, basically. So, like, I already kind of think that there is parity or there was just the East was already kind of stacked. I don't think the Bulls are moving up like higher than 5 this year. Like, I really don't. Even if everyone's healthy, even if Lonzo comes back healthy, like, I don't see that happening. Like, I don't see them getting top 4. But I think the Bulls are going to have more than 46 wins. Like, they had 46 last year. I think they're going to have more than 46 this year. And the reason why is because these bottom teams here that are all tanking for Wembanyama, like, we're going to see like the craziest tank possible from these teams. And because they're going to be tanking so hard, I think that that's going to give everyone else in the conference and like an extra 2 to 3 wins to their record. So I think the Bulls end sixth again this year, but they have like 47 or 48 wins. That was my prediction. I just want to know your guys' thoughts on that because I honestly think that's not a horrible prediction, but yeah, people are like, ooh, I don't know. Just your thoughts. Like, what do you guys think the Bulls' record is going to be this year? 46, 47? Yeah, basically what I thought. Right, like it's just kind of how I'm looking at this, and like I expect the East, whoever wins the East is gonna have like 56 wins. So that's the reason why I'm just like I think this Bulls team is gonna have more wins than last year. I actually think like in overall, like I know we saw the Bulls play so well last year early, but then we saw them absolutely fall off a cliff late. I think in general, like overall this season, you're gonna see this Bulls team play better than last year. It's just not gonna result in them moving up in the standings. 48 wins, yeah. 50 wins by Professor Mike. Okay, yeah. 40 lowest, 56 highest. 63 and 19. Oh man, El Trapo. No. Uh, if any team gets 63 wins this year, I'd be shocked. 52 by Brad. Okay. Yeah, it's definitely something interesting to think about. And like, it's huge already that this Bulls team just beat the Miami Heat because obviously, the Bulls against the top four teams last year were what, two and something. It was awful, right? Our top four seeds in both conferences. So getting this uh, win against the Heat is huge, especially without Zach. I mean, that's amazing. Um, Also, other thing is this. I also said in my video that I think 4 through 8 seeds in the Eastern Conference. I think it's going to be ridiculously close. Like it might be a matter of like tiebreakers within the season. So it's important to win these sort of games now, so that you hold tiebreakers, to make sure you win those tiebreakers. Celtics will fall off and Heat will too. Okay, so this is interesting. I disagree with the Celtics, Trapo, but I actually think the Heat. I know it's like one game, but I predicted in my season predictions that the Miami Heat would actually not be a top four team this year. I think the Miami Heat could actually be 4 through 8, somewhere around there. And the reason why is this: a lot of people are saying like, "Oh, this Bulls team didn't do anything this offseason." They're talking about continuity and they're running it back. And yes, like the teams like the 76ers, the Boston Celtics, the Atlanta Hawks, and Cleveland Cavaliers, they went out and did all these things to get better in the Eastern Conference. But there are teams that also just stood pat. The Bulls are one of them, but the Miami Heat are another one. The Miami Heat didn't do anything this offseason. They just re-signed Tyler Hero. They lost PJ Tucker. Like, it's the same team from last year, and Kyle Lowry just got a year older. So I won't be shocked to see this Miami Heat team not be in the top four in the Eastern Conference. And that's the reason why I think the Bulls have a chance to leap them. The other team that also just stood pat was the Toronto Raptors. The Toronto Raptors just re-signed Chris Boucher. They re-signed Thaddeus Young. They've just brought everybody back. And the only move that they made was signing Otto Porter Jr., which I don't even know if he's healthy to start the season. So I think this Bulls team can actually, take a leap ahead of the teams that quote unquote stood pat, because of our continuity and our chemistry being better. Now the Toronto Raptors, they're definitely the scarier team because they can make a trade, but number two, if they don't make a trade, they have a bunch of young guys on their team that can develop. But still, though, Fred VanVleet and Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby, like those three guys, they're what they are. They're not getting any better, right? So it's interesting to just kind of think about like, yeah, maybe the Bulls stood pat, but other teams did too. And was it the worst option for the Bulls? I don't know. So I don't think it was the worst option, honestly. I think if the Bulls made a move that wasn't necessary, and we use our limited assets to make a move that wasn't necessary, that'd be doomsday. But instead, we didn't do that, and we are evaluating the team still. And this is one of those years where it could be a breaking point, where it's either we go up and we continue to go up past this season, or it doesn't work out and we fall off a cliff, and then it's time to restart again. But I think it's all right to just evaluate this year, because last year we just couldn't evaluate. And I know I'm sounding like a spokesperson for the front office, but I honestly think that's the best thing to do. And it also gives us a chance to see what Patrick Williams and Ayo Dosunmu actually are, and if we can actually rely on them. Because if we can, that's huge. But I think right now Ayo looks the better of the two. With P. Will, I'm hoping he figures it out. Bulls are going to be a top 5 team. Yeah, I could see it. But they'd be the 5th seed, in my opinion. I don't see the Bulls being higher than 5 this year. His improvements like scoring a new and better player. I totally agree. So it also, again, I'm just gonna pull up this video here just to kind of show you. Let's see here, YouTube. Like, this was I made a prediction this year that Ayo Dosunmu was gonna be at the end of the year. He's gonna be looked at as a starting point guard across the league, or at least a starting caliber point guard. And I think a lot of people are kind of like, they're thinking that Ayo is mainly just a bench player, but I honestly think that Ayo Dosunmu is to be looked at as a starting point guard across the league, or could be a starting point guard on a lot of teams across the league. Fully healthy Bulls could be top 3. Ugh, I don't know about that. I think if the Bulls were fully healthy, they could get the 4 seed, but I don't. Health is just such a big question mark at this point that I don't see it happening. Big Jordan, but I love the confidence though on it. I love that you think that way, but I just don't see it. You have more optimism than me on that. So yeah, it's just something to keep in mind. And 4 years, 80 million. Again, that's like around the max that Ayo Dosunmu can make. I brought up, or actually, I could just do this video. I brought up in this video, like, 4 years, 80 million. It's what basically Marcus Smart right now is making 4 years, $76 million. And this was his numbers last season. Defensive player of the year, 12 points per game, 6 assists, steal and a half, and shot only 33% from 3-point range. I made a prediction that I was going to shoot better than 35% from 3-point range, and I'm standing by that. And I think he's gonna. And I already talked about how good he is defensively. I already talked about how I think he's in multiple videos, like, he is basically a veteran already when it comes to tempo. And that already gets you around the 80 million mark for Ayo Dosunmu. How many wins do you think the Bulls can get from the top 4 teams of both conferences this year in comparison to last year? Good question. Yahalo, is that how you say it? So this year is going to be interesting. So obviously the Miami Heat, we just got that win. I don't know if Miami's going to be a top 4 team though. So in my video, the top 4 teams, or let's just go top 3 teams. 76ers, Bucks, and Celtics. I think the Bulls, out of those 3 teams, and I don't know how many times we match up against each individual team, I think we get 3 wins from those 3, at least 3 wins from those 3 teams. So let's just say we've faced them all 4 times, which could be wrong. It might only be 3. Yeah. So let's just go with 3. Let's say we face them all 3 times. We go 3-6. Against the West, that's going to be weird because I think the Western Conference looks very, very, very scary. So I don't know exactly, but I definitely think the West, you're gonna see like probably the Warriors. So I'm gonna say we don't win against the Warriors, which I don't know if any team is gonna get more than 1 against the Warriors this year. Just kidding, by the way. It's just the Warriors just always look great. But let's say if let's just I don't know actually. I can see against the top 4 teams in the West, I could see the Bulls also probably because they face them only twice. Top 4 teams in the West, I'll go with 2 wins. I'll go 2 wins in the top 4 teams in the West. So that's 1 more than last year, because last year it was the Mavericks. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go 3. Because the Mavericks last year, we won a game against the Mavericks last year, and they were top 4. I think this year the Bulls can steal 2 more. So I'll go 3 and 3 for your answer. Yeah. So we'll get 6 wins, which is great. That's actually a big improvement in my opinion. Ayo's already proved he should be a first round pick. Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, 37 teams or 37 picks before him, like, ridiculous. I 100% agree with that. I thought Ayo would have went like early 20s, honestly. I legit thought he was going to go that early. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens from here on out with Ayo. But yeah, like the rest of the draft class. But yeah, he should have 100% been a first round pick. Sorry, I read Trapo's message of Patrick Williams laid an egg this game. He did. I talked about Patrick like at the start of this stream, and it was concerning. I have to say it was really concerning. Yeah, not good at all. By the way, I apologize if you hear a lot of background noise. I use like a filter, but it only has a limited amount of time, so that just went off. So I apologize if you hear the fan running back there. But you should still be able to hear me okay, I think. But yeah, Patrick Williams, I talked about it. Like I just right now he can't even be like a role player right now. And that's concerning. That's really concerning in my opinion. All right. So, Bulls face the Washington Wizards next. Bradley Beal, Kristaps Porzingis, Kyle Kuzma. Those are the people I'm going to be looking at in this game. And it's going to be interesting to see if, because Zach's probably not playing in this one either. But can the Bulls continue their offensive success of pushing tempo against the team, which 100% should be able to. And then their defense has to show up again. And I'm talking about protecting the paint, making sure you get the rebound. Protect the paint first, then contest the outside shot. That's how it needs to go. And hopefully they can do that again in this game. I'm going to say the Bulls win this. I think the Bulls 100% win this game. I know Bradley Beal's scary, and I'm a big fan of Bradley Beal, but I think the Bulls should be able to win this even without Zach. I think the Bulls will be just fine. Let me know your thoughts if you think the Bulls are going to win this one or not. Who do the Wizards even play today? I don't even know who they face the Pacers. Okay, yeah. Makes sense. Let's see here. Pacers. I just want to check the box score of this game. Always, I like to see what the Pacers are kind of up to. I'm a big fan of Tyrese Halliburton. Let's see. Yep, Tyrese Halliburton, a great game. But I don't know about anyone else. Buddy Hield. Yeah. What do you think about minutes for Dalen and Derek Jones Jr.? So, EJ, I think it's gonna be interesting to see with Derek Jones Jr. I think I actually made a prediction in my video here that I think that Derek Jones Jr. could be traded, because he's already kind of out of the rotation already, and we're running a 10-man. I think tonight was a 9-man because Zach was out, but we're running a 10-man and he's not even in it. So I don't know about Derek Jones Jr. We might see Derek Jones Jr. in like when we play a really small team, which I don't know exactly which team that would be besides like the Warriors. But if we face like the Clippers, that'd be another good team to use him. But I don't see him having like a rotation spot from here on out that's like 100% every single game. But for Dalen, I made a prediction in one of my articles that I wrote that I think and this as well. I think that Dalen's actually going to be getting into the rotation at some point. Now, that does not mean he stays in rotation for the rest of the year. But I think there's going to be a time where it's either Dragic is going to be resting, um, and you're going to see him get into a game, and it's going to be like, oh man, that's that we need to continue playing him because he played so well. Uh, that's going to like allow him to get maybe a few extra minutes here and there, and then there could be a player, and I'm assuming if everyone's healthy, like Kobe White, for example, could go on a cold streak, right? And um, he's not playing well. I could see Dalen all of a sudden in those like 2 weeks that Kobe White is not playing well, he could be in the rotation. But that's it, honestly. I don't really see him getting much more than that. And if he does get in the rotation, it's going to be for maybe 10 minutes a game. Um, and here's the other scary thing, and I hate to say it: if Patrick Williams doesn't start playing right or playing well, Dalen might take his spot. Like I can 100% see it right now, and that's me assuming that Javante starts and then Patrick Williams goes to the bench, and if he can't figure it out for some reason, you know, I mean, the Bulls again, we're not looking to develop this year. This year's about winning, and if Patrick can't get it right, Dalen could take his spot. So hope that answers your question. Um, I'm so just so you know, EJ, I'm a huge fan of Dalen Terry. I love his mentality. I see such a bright future for him as a two-way player. Very versatile. And his length of his wingspan is insane. I think he fits the modern NBA perfectly. I think he could guard multiple positions already, but without that 3-point shot, he's not really much of a player right now. Besides a defensive specialist and a really good in transition player. So I think it's important for him to develop his shot. And once he develops that shot, man, we're looking at a really good player for the Bulls for years to come. And I'm really excited about it. It'll be interesting to see what they do with Dalen. He might go to the G League. I wouldn't be shocked if he goes to the G League. I know he's 18th overall, but I think that wouldn't be a horrible idea, honestly, if he goes to the G League, gets playing time instead of just him kind of sitting on the bench all year. I think it's a good idea, honestly. Could also fill Derrick Jones Jr. if he gets traded. So again, though, my issue is that I don't see Derrick Jones Jr. getting any minutes. That's kind of the issue. So if Derrick Jones Jr. is not getting any minutes, then there is no minutes to fill if Derrick Jones Jr. gets traded. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I just don't see Derrick I just don't see Derrick Jones Jr. in rotation. I just don't. Unless it's like a small team and we don't want to play Drummond. It'll be really interesting to watch that, honestly. Give me a sec here. I'm getting a notification from YouTube that says, okay, got it. Cool. All right. I know I kept going, and when I said I was going to end stream, but I'm having a lot of fun with this. So I think I'm actually going to end it now. Now that we're at this point, because I need to go get ready for tomorrow. I'm still in school, by the way, so I'm still in college, trying to get a sports comm major or sports comm degree. So still in school, still doing work. All right, I'm gonna look to end it here. So the Bulls are going to be playing the Washington Wizards next. I think the Bulls are going to be winning this game. Even if Zach doesn't play, I hope Zach plays. But if he doesn't, that's okay. I know I didn't talk about Zach at all, which I probably should have. But I'll just briefly say I'm all right with this. I'm concerned with Zach. I'll say that, but I would much rather him be cautious than try to play through something. Because if Zach played tonight and he got injured, we'd be all very upset, right? So I'm happy he's being cautious, but I think the Bulls are going to win this game against the Wizards. I think they're going to do a really good job of protecting the paint and not letting Porzingis or anyone else dominate the game. Bradley Beal's going to get his points, but you just got to take care of the others. And I think the Bulls are going to go 2-0 to start the season, which would be awesome. I think a lot of people did not think the Bulls would go 2-0 to start the season with Miami Heat to start. So fantastic win tonight by the Chicago Bulls against Miami Heat. awesome job by them. But before you guys leave the stream, first off, for the 20 people that liked, I appreciate it a lot. If you can hit the like button, if you've not hit the like button, please hit that like button. I really appreciate it. Also, if you're new to my channel at all and you're a Bulls fan or even just an NBA fan, please hit that subscribe button. I am planning on making Bulls content throughout this entire season, and I really hope to continue this Bulls content all year and continue doing live streams. I'm really liking this so far. If you have not, then this is my Twitter I just sent in the chat. I would really appreciate if you could go follow my Twitter. This is something I'm trying to build up. I will always be live tweeting in games. So just expect me to be always posting stuff on here. Other thing before you guys go as well, I do have a blog right now. It is for one of my classes. If you want to go check out any of my work for my blog, that's the link right there in the chat. My last article that I did was a Bulls Roundtable, and I actually was able to get Bulls Central Pod, who's a very well-known Bulls content creator, to do a collaboration with me and one of my friends in my class. So shout out to Hayes for being such an awesome dude, and I hope to be collaborating with him at some point. But it was awesome that we got his perspective on one of our articles that we did on the roundtable. So again, shout out to Hayes. He's such a great guy, and I'm really proud of his. I'm proud for him for all his work that he's done. But if you have not checked out my blog, I have to post to this because of school. So you'll be getting probably weekly content from my blog as well. But that is going to do it for me, guys. For Friday's game, I don't know if I'm going to be 100% able to stream. There's some stuff that I won't be in my usual setup. So I can't guarantee a stream, but I'm going to try to make a video about at the bare minimum. So if I am going to stream, I'm going to be scheduling it. So you guys are going to see that it is a scheduled stream. But if I can't, then there won't be a scheduled stream. And if I can't make a video, or if I can't do the stream, I'll make a video about the Wizards game and kind of do like my usual analysis and stuff like that. My goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers this season, so I would really appreciate if we could get there, because that basically tells me that I'm doing my work that I need to do to that, and it's all worth it. So yeah, I'm hoping I get to that point this year. I am very pleased with all the subscribers recently. To all you people again coming out, appreciate it a lot. EJ, thank you so much. Yohalo, thank you for coming, and El Trapo, thank you for subscribing. Really appreciate it. Viper Strike, Bulls are back. That is gonna do it for me, and I'll see you guys in another stream soon, hopefully. All right. Again, potentially a stream on Friday. I can't guarantee it though, but I'll hopefully be seeing you guys. I don't know when. Maybe Saturday is the stream day for me. But that's gonna do it for me, guys. I'll see you guys later. Have a good night. Bulls win, huge win. Let's go. Good start to this season. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.